Day 3 of Team USA camp. Supposed to be light film, controlled scrimmage runs, nothing intense. Then the clipboard changed. One name moved from the second unit to the starting lineup. Caitlin Clark. No announcement, no dramatic speech. Just her name written in as the projected starter for the next controlled run. And according to multiple people who were in that gym, that single adjustment triggered the tensest 3 hours of the entire camp, forced phones off and doors locked for an emergency coaching meeting, and put Paige Bueckers in a position she has never had to navigate before. This isn't about drama for drama's sake. This is about what happens when a player's gravity is so strong that the entire system starts bending around her, whether she's asking for it or not. Many of you have been saying for weeks that Caitlin Clark's presence changes everything. You were onto something. Because what went down at this camp proves that her impact goes way beyond box scores and highlight reels. We're talking about power dynamics, identity, and what it means when USA Basketball has to choose between maximizing their most game-changing weapon or protecting the balance of a room full of stars who've never been asked to take a back seat before. If you believe the story behind the story matters, smash that like button. It tells us we're on the right track as we filter out the noise and connect the dots on what's really happening in women's basketball. Let's lay out the setup. Team USA is resetting. Paris 2024 is over. The old Olympic cycle is done. This camp marks the unofficial start of the next 4-year run toward the 2028 games in Los Angeles. New blood, new combinations, and a lot of eyes on which guards are going to carry the program going forward. Caitlin Clark is there. Paige Bueckers is there. Angel Reese and Brianna Stewart are making noise in drills. Veterans are watching. The coaching staff is trying to blend all of that talent into something that wins gold on home soil. For Caitlin, this camp represents closure on one of the most controversial chapters of her career. She missed the 2024 Olympic roster, didn't make the final cut, and instead of sulking publicly, she reframed it as fuel. At this camp, she told reporters that wearing USA across your chest is the highest honor you can have playing basketball in this country. She talked about being on both sides of USA Basketball, getting cut from junior teams, making junior teams, and now finally earning a spot at a senior national camp. You could hear the hunger in her voice. This isn't someone who feels entitled. This is someone who remembers what it feels like to get that thanks, but no thanks call. On the other side, you've got Paige Bueckers, another generational guard, college star, massive following. For a long time, fans saw her and Caitlin as the two pillars of the next era of women's hoops. But here's the thing about pillars. They don't share space easily. When you put both of them in the same gym, fighting for the same minutes, running sets that can only flow through one primary engine at a time, tension isn't just possible. It's inevitable. Now here's where the story gets real. Day 3 was supposed to be routine, film breakdown, some controlled scrimmage segments, nothing that would make headlines. Then the rotation sheet changed. Instead of coming off the bench like she had in previous sessions, Caitlin's name appeared as the projected starter for the next controlled run. And in a high-level gym like this, everyone feels that shift immediately, because it's never just about who starts a drill. It's about who the offense is being built around. Caitlin steps onto the floor with the first unit, and the vibe flips. The ball starts moving differently, spacing stretches, decisions speed up. She's not yelling, not pounding her chest, not doing anything theatrical. She's just doing what she does, calling sets, reading the defense, finding the right pass, and then every so often reminding everyone that she can pull from the logo whenever she feels like it. She comes down in transition, pulls from deep logo range, and it's pure. No wild celebration, no stare down, just hits the shot and gets back on defense. But nobody on that sideline misses what it means. It's confirmation of what a lot of people already suspected but weren't ready to say out loud. When Caitlin Clark is on the floor, the offense naturally flows through her. Her gravity, her passing, her shooting force defenses to make choices. And when that happens, the ball finds her hands. While this is happening, Paige Bueckers is on the sideline, arms folded, locked in, but not part of that first group. Not yelling, not pouting, not making a scene. She eventually checks into the next segment, but not with the same unit. In a normal gym, maybe that's nothing. In a Team USA gym where roles are everything and everyone in there is used to being the star, it's massive. She plays hard when she's in, efficient, professional, doing what's asked of her. But anyone who's watched these two players long enough can tell the rhythm isn't the same. For the first time in a long time, Paige isn't automatically the primary engine. She finishes her sequence, walks straight to the bench, and just sits. No extra shots, no half-court trick attempts, just stillness. That's the moment where the coaching staff realizes what's happening in the room. Coaches step away from the floor, not for a quick huddle, for a separate meeting. Assistants, coordinators, USA basketball officials, they all get pulled in, phones off, doors closed, and here's the key part that sources confirmed. The topic isn't, is Caitlin playing well? Everyone can see she is. The question they're wrestling with is, what is this doing to the balance of the team? Because it's one thing to have a player who's breaking out at camp. It's another thing entirely when a player's presence is so strong that the entire system starts to bend around her without her even asking for it. That's what they're dealing with. This isn't ego in the stereotypical sense. Caitlin Clark, by all accounts from inside that gym, isn't walking around demanding touches or telling coaches to change plays for her. She's just being herself. She's always been the kind of guard who creates outcomes. Her gravity forces defenses to make decisions. When she has the ball, help has to come from somewhere. When help comes, someone's open. When defenses go under screens, she pulls it. When they overplay the three, she drops dimes. It's instinctive. It's what makes her special. But the issue for the staff is what that does inside a group of elite players who've never been asked to defer before. Reading between the lines of what sources are saying, the coaching staff is facing a philosophy question that goes beyond X's and O's. One of the coaches at camp talked about how conflict is normal, frustration is normal. The key, he said, is being willing to sit in it together and work through it. That's how you build real connection. It's not all high fives and gold medals. Sometimes it's closed-door meetings and hard conversations about roles and identity. And make no mistake, this is about identity. You don't become Paige Bueckers without being the focal point everywhere you've played. College basketball built entire offensive systems around her. She's been the one her whole life. You don't just flip that switch off overnight because someone hands you a USA jersey. So when sources say Paige eventually stood up during this lull and walked over to a coach for a quiet conversation, it makes sense. No finger-pointing, no "how dare you." Her body language, according to people who saw it, read more like someone drawing a line, someone saying, "I'm not here to be a mascot. I need a real purpose in this system." That's fair. That's not diva behavior. That's a competitor who understands the difference between being on a roster and actually mattering to what happens on the floor. She doesn't want symbolism. She wants substance. Meanwhile, Caitlin keeps doing what she's doing. Same rhythm, same calm, locked in face. She's not looking around checking reactions. It's basketball. Run the play, make the read, hit the shooter. She's not in that meeting. She's on the floor. Practice eventually resumes, but anyone who's been in that type of environment can feel it. Something's different. Every rep feels a little tighter. Every defensive rotation carries more weight, because now everyone in that gym knows the question isn't theoretical anymore. It's real. Who's willing to adjust? Who's going to demand their space? And how is USA basketball going to reconcile having more elite talent than they have minutes to distribute? Let me know in the comments where you stand on this. Do you think Paige Bueckers is right to push back on a reduced role? Or should she embrace whatever the team needs to win gold? Drop your thoughts below, because this conversation is just getting started. Here's what makes this situation so fascinating. Caitlin isn't doing anything controversial on the floor. She's not trash-talking, not flexing after buckets, not politicking with coaches. She's just playing her game. But her game is so impactful that it reorganizes everything around it. Think about what sources described. When she grabbed a defensive rebound and instantly pushed the ball in transition, the defense had to scramble to match up with her. That created an uncontested shot for another guard on the wing. If she walks it up slowly, that look never exists. Her tempo created it. That's the kind of impact that doesn't show up on a traditional stat sheet, but coaches see it immediately. It's why the staff is stuck. They can see what Caitlin brings. They also know that when you tilt the system too far toward one player, even unintentionally, you risk alienating others who came to camp expecting to be centerpieces, not role players. And it's not just the guards putting pressure on the coaching staff. Angel Reese and Brianna Stewart reportedly dominated one of the rebounding and interior drills, embarrassing some of the assistant coaches with their control of the paint, grabbing every miss, controlling possessions without a play even being called for them. That's another layer of the same problem. When multiple young players are clearly too good to be marginalized, how do you fit all that into a traditional hierarchy without someone feeling squeezed out? All of this is happening while Caitlin is sitting in front of microphones giving the exact right answers. She told reporters this camp is the biggest honor you can possibly have playing basketball in the United States. She mentioned how she's been cut from USA teams before, how she's played for some too. She's been on that up and down ride. And that's part of why she's not taking this opportunity for granted. You can see that hunger in the way she approaches every drill. She's not out there acting like a guaranteed lock. She's acting like someone who remembers what it feels like to get passed over. Now mix that hunger with the spotlight and the fan bases, and you get the online side of this story. The second word of this emergency meeting started to trickle out. Social media did what it always does. Paige fans came for Caitlin. Caitlin fans fired back. Some of the exchanges got ugly quick. One person mocked Caitlin's trash talk, saying Paige had served her a plate of shut up in some previous matchup. Another reply clapped back with, "If Paige is really what you say she is, why were her games near the bottom of the league in attendance? Why aren't you watching her like you watch Caitlin? Calling people keyboard warriors for talking big on Twitter but not buying tickets. Are those attendance and rating claims exact official numbers? Not from what we've seen. That's fan talk. But it shows you where this debate has gone. It's not just about who's nicer in a vacuum. It's about who moves the needle, who fills arenas, who spikes TV numbers. For better or worse, we know Caitlin Clark does all of that already. That's part of why USA Basketball and the WNBA can't treat her like just another invitee. The brand impact she brings is massive, and that absolutely factors into decision-making at every level. The dangerous part is when that reality runs headfirst into the pride and expectations of other players who've been putting in work for years without that same spotlight. From USA Basketball's perspective, this is the crossroads you always reach when you bring in a talent that distorts the room. Do you tilt the system to maximize what she does, even if it means asking other stars to downshift? Or do you hold the line, keep things balanced, and risk not fully unleashing your most game-changing weapon? From Paige's perspective, and honestly, from any guard in that gym, the question is, how much are you willing to adapt? Is wearing USA on your chest and chasing gold worth playing 18 minutes instead of 30? Worth handling the ball less or defending bigger wings instead of orchestrating plays? For some players, the answer is yes. For others, especially if the WNBA season is waiting right around the corner, maybe the calculus looks different. From Caitlin's perspective, this is almost the least emotional part of her year. She already went through the CBA negotiation storm. She already got dissected for her stance on various league issues. She already walked into Indiana with people questioning every move she made. Now she's at this camp doing what she does on the floor. She's not going to apologize for how much the ball likes her hands. She's not going to shrink herself to make people more comfortable. That's what makes this such a critical moment for women's basketball. This isn't just WNBA gossip, and it's not just national team politics. It's all tied together. The league is growing faster than ever. Media deals are exploding. Players are fighting hard over the collective bargaining agreement to make sure they get their fair share. At the same time, Team USA is looking at a new wave of stars and trying to figure out how to keep its dynasty alive while integrating players who have already become bigger brands than the program itself. Is the drama being blown out of proportion? Maybe a little, like everything on the internet. But is there something real under it? Absolutely. We've seen this pattern in every major league. In the NBA, when a young star arrives and instantly tilts winning and ratings, the franchise reorganizes itself around him. Veterans either buy in or move on. In the WNBA, we're seeing a version of that happen in fast forward with Caitlin and some of her peers. The national team is just the latest stage. So what could happen next? On the calm, rational end of the spectrum, everyone breathes, talks it out, and figures out a rotation that makes sense. Maybe Paige slides into a sixth-woman instant offense role that still means big minutes against certain lineups. Maybe USA Basketball staggers the rotations so she has plenty of on-ball reps when Caitlin sits. Maybe they find combinations where both are on the floor but with clearly defined responsibilities. On the more dramatic end, someone decides the fit just isn't right. That could mean a player withdrawing from camp, choosing to refocus on the WNBA season, or simply not making the final roster because the staff feels they can't reconcile roles without fracturing team chemistry. No one wants that outcome, but it's always a possibility when there are more stars than spots and egos are involved. Either way, the fact that we're even having this conversation tells you where Caitlin Clark sits in the current landscape. This is no longer a discussion about whether she's ready. The question isn't, does she belong in camp? It's now that she's here and already tilting the floor, how is everyone else going to adjust? By the end of that day, there were no public statements, no press releases naming anyone a starter. Officially, nothing changed. Unofficially, everyone who walked out of that gym knew something had shifted. Team USA didn't just test out a new lineup. They started a reckoning about roles, identity, and what it means when one player elevates the room so fast that it makes others feel the ground move under their feet. If you want more breakdowns like this, not just who scored what, but how power, personality, and politics shape the women's game, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because this next era of the WNBA and Team USA is going to be wild, and we're breaking down every twist as it happens. Coming up next, we're diving into how the WNBA's new media deal is already reshaping which players get leverage in contract negotiations and why some veterans are furious about it. You won't want to miss that. This is just the beginning of a power shift that's going to define women's basketball for the next decade. Stay locked in.